What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got another Lair of Darkness video. You know how it is. This is like probably my favorite deck of all time that I've ever played. It's kind of like the staple of the channel. Today we're going to be doing test hands, okay? I know what you're thinking is like, John, okay, this isn't really the best deck for test hands. No, it's not. But I still think people would like to see what they can expect by playing this deck, like what kind of hands to see, what my thoughts are being. I guess this is one of those decks that I would say I'm more of a seasoned veteran on, and just giving my thoughts on like hands and what I would look at doing in every individual hand, and just showing you how the deck, how you should expect the deck to play, how you should expect to see your hands, and you know, certain thoughts you might want to start getting used to in evaluating like how to play out those hands. So we're going to shuffle up. We're going to do a couple test hands. This is a trap deck. Like it's a trap deck kind of. Like it's kind of an everything deck, right? The deck is literally 18 monsters, 13 spells, 13 traps. So it's not like overly trappish. Like it's not Paleozoic or Trap Tricks level of traps. But we do play a decent amount there, and they are integral to the strategy. But I truly believe, and I made a video a while ago, that this deck can beat any deck in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I still believe that. I know what you're saying is I'm not, like, what are you saying, John? You're a fool. I'm not saying this deck is going to consistently top if you play it, or I'm not saying that this deck is going to consistently beat tier 1 threats, but I'm saying this deck on any given match can beat any deck in the game, because you have such busted interactions with specific insane cards that you're able to play in this deck. And that's what's awesome about this deck, is this deck essentially has the capability of playing some insane cards like Artifact Sanctum naturally through its strategy. It's just so easy to get access to. You can play stuff like Super Poly in tandem with Lair of Darkness, so you can Super Poly any deck in the game, plus obviously the Lair of Darkness interactions by tributing your opponent's monsters to then get resources for yourself, which is insane. You go +1, they go -1. So yeah. Alright, we're all shuffled up. You watch me power shuffle. Let's check out our first hand. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, this will probably work. Okay, let's see. So obviously the first thing to do is to activate Extravagance. I'm not even going to like shuffle. We're just going to throw 6 out of our extra deck just because. We're not even going to go into our extra deck based off of the hand we have here. We'll draw 2 more traps. That works for me. That's all we really need here. And then we are going to get into this. So here's the awkward thing, is we don't have a Lair here, but we do have double Super Poly, so I'm probably keeping 1 in hand for discard fodder, just because I don't want to discard too much. So it's probably going to be like set a Super Poly, set back to the front, set in Perm, and then like normal Lilith. And honestly, you probably just activate Lilith here. I guess I'll normal here, so it's not in as bad a glare. Now I have my camera's like right above, and I can't fix the glare with the setup I have right now. So sorry about that. So I think basically you're probably just going to go for Lilith here, and you're just going to try and get the most powerful disruption your deck has to offer, which is Sanctum. So here, I think we just keep it simple. We just set a bunch and we go, and normally you actually don't see hands like this. I know I said this is a trap deck, but usually you're only setting like 2. So this is like kind of a more hefty hand, but well, we've got Back to the Front, which is follow-up in the form of just reviving Lilith, which is really cool. You've got Imperm for a negate. You've got Sanctum to either scythe your opponent. Most of the time you're going to be scything your opponent here, but I guess if they're playing a deck that doesn't even really make use of the extra deck, you can just go Moral Attack, pop a Guru, pop a, I don't know, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Dinos don't really need the extra deck all the way. And then Super Poly. And unfortunately, we don't have Lair. So hopefully that's not a huge issue, but hopefully it's like a deck that we can still get a Super Poly out of. Hopefully they're either playing Darks, or maybe it's something like Invoke Dogmatica, which will just put 2 different typed lights on the field, and we can still hit them. But that's kind of a weird hand. But honestly, you open weird hands all the time. Like, the way you go through things is just going to be based off of what kind of hands you open. So you can expect hands similar to that like all the time, but at least we got early access to Lilith and Back to the Front, so we can just start rotating Lilith, using it every turn, getting more and more traps. We're going to lock our opponent out of the extra deck and have Scythe, so Scythe still just like beats over their stuff after we've locked them out of the extra deck, and just start depleting them on resources. Alright, next hand. Here we go. Oh boy, this one's a fun one. No, it's not. This one sucks. This hand's actually really, really awful. Okay, so normally drawing like artifacts isn't even that bad in this deck, but in this hand it's awful because we drew it in tandem with ties and no level 3 fiends. If oh my god, sometimes I just want to like put a hole in a wall because Arima is not a level 3. If Arima was a level 3, this deck would be so much more consistent with Ties of the Brethren. I still think it's such an insane power card that like I still want to play it, but yeah, okay. So this hand's kind of jank. In fact, it's like super jank. I don't even know what I would do here. Like, I don't even think it's worth getting Lair off of this. I almost just want to draw a card off Arima because our hand is so jank. Yeah. So I think all we're going to do here is normal Arima, tribute himself to draw, like literally just waste our normal summon, get it back to the front. Okay, so we get a follow-up, I guess, which is fine. And we probably just set 4 here. We probably just set all of these. That way next turn we can back to the front, back Arima, if we don't draw anything good. So we can potentially try and draw again. Or if our opponent pops Moral Attack and kills it, it'll come back and pop our opponent's monster. And then maybe next turn we can back to the front the Moral Attack or save it all the way around. We still have 2 impermanences though, so like at the end of the day we do still have 2 monster negates. And then just hopefully we can draw into something that could be tiesable soon. Dark Resonator's off the top, so we do have a ties target. So if we survive next turn, we got this, and then we could also potentially Arima for Tour Guide also. So we should be able to play, assuming we get to our next turn, but this hand is definitely one of the more janks. But at the end of the day, like that's just what this deck does, is like even in our most jank hands, you're going to have just like, boom, you have access to these. And I know it's not insane, but a lot of decks like double imperm, double imperm is, kind of annoying. So we'll have a chance at least, and that's what this deck is all about. It's just you always have a chance. So you know what? I'm glad these hands are kind of jank because I do want to show you like some jank hands, but I also want to show you a good hand. So hopefully we draw a good hand in here. Like show me like Lair, ties, a level 3, and like a good trap, and like we cooking. I just want to see one of those hands here. Hopefully we can get one of those in. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh boy. This extravagance better be the nuts, let me tell you. Okay, here we go. So, Double Sanctum, Dogmatic of Punishment, Pot of Extrav, and Ties. Again, we have Ties with no level 3, even though we play 9 of them. God. We'll Extrav, though. Please tell me there's a level 3 in here. Oh, God. See, okay, so this is one of those situations where exactly Ties of the Brethren, I look at this deck, and if you're playing Ties, I think when Pot of Disparity comes out, I think this is a great situation to show you guys this. This is what we get to do if we have Pot of Disparity, okay? We'll look at the top 6 cards. Boom, level 3. Pairs with Ties, now we can Ties. Boom. It's not a +1, but Ties of the Brethren is a +2. So yeah, I'll take that. So that's why I think like Pot Disparity will arguably be better than this. Or like, look at this hand. If I needed Lair, maybe my whole hand was like pretty nice, but like Lair made it over the top. Like I had Super Poly, not Lair. And that's what I really like about this Pot of Disparity, is that like this deck has a lot of cards that are kind of like, if you have one of each of 2 cards, you're clean. But if you have one and not the other, it's kind of awkward, right? If we have Ties but no level 3, awkward. Okay, Disparity helps us grab a level 3. If we have Super Poly but no Lair, or vice versa, like boom, search for that. And also going second, Disparity is better because it just grabs like the insane like board breaking cards. You can just search for like Sphere Mode or Super Poly and then just break a board straight up, so it becomes like a must negate card, which is very cool. So we'll look at that later on, but yeah, so we drew Ties and Trap Trick, not Dark Resonator. So we'll go back and we'll still look at the rest of this hand, assuming we don't have Disparity. But keep in mind, when Disparity comes out, like that would have worked. It would have unlocked Ties out of our hand. Unfortunately, we can't draw one of 9 level 3 Fiends off the top of our deck, but we can draw one of the other 2 copies of Ties. God damn it. So this hand's pretty simple, though. I mean, we're just going to set Sanctum, set Punishment, set Trap Trick, and probably pass. I guess you could set the other one, but in case they do have, like, back row removal, like, what's the point of losing this when we could just set this again next turn and use it again, because we do play multiple artifacts. So at the end of the day, it's just one of those hands where, like, our opponent's still probably not playing because they're going to have to play through double pop, plus double, plus lock out of the extra deck, and this can be Imperm, it could be Back to the Front, it could be Ice Dragon's Prison, like it could be anything, so this card's still insane as well. This would be one of those situations where Fiend Griefing is like crazy interesting, because I've thought about Fiend Griefing, but unfortunately we only have like actually one decent target for Fiend Griefing in the entire deck, and that's Skarm. So like Fiend Griefing would be Graveyard Disruption plus send Skarm, and then Skarm would get us into an engine card, guaranteed unlocking the ties out of our hands, but it is still pretty slow, so I'm not sure how I really feel about that. But it is an interesting card, to say the least. Like, maybe if Lair of Darkness got their own monster that like had like really amazing effects in grave, or maybe if Diabolos, right? Like, does Fiend Griefing restrict levels? I can't remember if Fiend Griefing is like send a level 4 lower fiend, or if it's just any fiend. But unfortunately, Diabolos is a dragon, whereas if Diabolos was a fiend, then I would definitely play Fiend Griefing, because you just send Diabolos to then disrupt your opponent's graveyard, and now you just have Diabolos live for like the rest of the duel. You're ripping cards, you're putting a big untargetable, untributable body on field, and going to town. Just going to town. Oh man, disgusting. Alright. We got some more shenanigans going on here. Here we go. Next hand. Show me a good hand. I'm tired of bricking on ties. We've had some rough hands. You guys can see that. Alright, here we go. New hand. We've got Sanctum, Lost Wind, Ash Blossom, Dark Resonator, Terraforming. So this hand's, I wouldn't say this hand's terrible, but I wouldn't say it's great for sure. But it can get the job done, I believe. Terraforming is interesting because like it doesn't actually do anything for us here, so I'd almost like hold Terra, and I would just go like set Dark Resonator, and then set these two and pass. So we've got Sanctum so we can scythe our opponent. We can, this is supposed to be Ice Dragon's Prison, by the way, guys. I'm just balling on a budget because I did not scoop Ice Dragon's Prison when it was $8. Now it's $40. So Lost Wind is my substitute for right now, but obviously I would play Ice Dragon's Prison if I could. This guy can't be destroyed by battle once per turn, so if they attack once into him, he just lives. It's kind of funny. So you set that, so you have that. So hopefully he lives till next turn, because after scything your opponent may not even put 2 monsters on the field, and you have Ice Dragon's Prison to remove them anyway. So hopefully Dark Resonator will last you until your next turn. Hopefully you've got the Ash Blossom as well, and the Terraforming for Lair, and we draw a Ream off the top, which is actually pretty good because it means you activate Lair, you Terraforming for Lair, and then you can normal Arima and tribute an opponent's monster to draw another card, and boom, Super Poly. Now we have Lair, Super Poly, and now we're actually going to get to work as far as controlling the board. In fact, we might actually be able to OTK from that point, because we'd have Scythe off of Sanctum. So let's say like we were able to tribute an opponent's monster. They didn't have any monsters left on board. Right, let's say like we did a combination of like Scythe our opponents, they're locked out of the extra deck. They weren't able to attack twice into Resonator, or even if they had 2 monsters, we Ice Dragon prisoned to like remove them. Or honestly, we could just revive a monster, not even banish them, just keep it as a beat stick. And then this turn we have these with the Lair of Darkness. Nope, that's not Lair, that's Super Poly. Right, and then we tributed them, we drew a card, whatever, we're going to get a token on end phase, not a big deal. From here, we actually already have, what is this, 35, 42, 5,200 damage, which means we do have OTK if we still have Ash Blossom in hand. So if we never used Ash, you just go battle phase. If you've wiped, once you've like taken care of their whole board, which you've Ice Dragon prisoned them, you've Arima tributed one of their monsters, and they were under Scythe, so they probably weren't putting a ton of monsters on the board anyway. You just go like 17, 13 for 3,000, then this for 52, and then you just activate Super Poly, discard Ash, and then you can just make Triff, and then the last 3,000. So you actually have OTK potentially, and this deck randomly gets it. Like, this isn't a super offensive deck, but sometimes with like stuff like Super Poly and the fact that Artifact is such an Sanctum is such an insane disruption, but also gets you like a 2,000 plus beater, a 2,100 or a 2,200 beater. That's what I love about the deck, is like the deck feels so passive, but then because those cards give you just like these huge bodies, you're just able to just like play beatdown after you've like stalled your opponent out, run them out of resources. You just make a huge beater and just go blah blah. And so usually you're killing within 2 turns, sometimes even on the first turn, and getting an OTK, which people do not see coming from a trap deck. So I really like that. Alright, hold on. We almost done with this. Okay, here we go. Next hand. I want a really good hand because I want to show you like the epitome of like when this deck opens clean, what you can do going first. Okay, all right, hold on. This could be it. This could be the hand. This could be the hand right here. Holy. Okay, cool. All right, so obviously we start with Extrav because, you know, we draw on cards. Lair, and Sanctum. We've got it, guys. We've got a ball in hand. Okay, incredible. I'm not even going to banish the extra because we're not going into the extra. Who cares? Okay, here's what we got going on. We're going to normal summon Skarm, Malbranch of the Burning Abyss. I know it seems jank, but here we go. We're going to activate Ties, pay 2,000, targeting Skarm, and then we're going to summon 2 Fiends straight from the deck with the same level, attribute, and type. So we're going to summon 2 level 3 Dark Fiends, including Sangan and Lilith. This is the best. When you don't open Lilith, but you're able to Ties into it, she will be 2,000, which is insane. So obviously on summon, Skarm's going to destroy itself because it can't be on the field with non-Burning Abyss monsters, but we'll get that search for a follow-up on the end phase. Awesome. Then we're going to use Lilith here, tributing the Sangan. Well, actually, hold on. Let's act. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just terraforming. We'll grab a Lair. Boom. Activate Lair. Lilith, tribute the Sangan to get a trap. We already have Sanctum. If you don't have Sanctum, you always grab Sanctum. It's just how it is. It's the most powerful disruption. It's the biggest chance you have at just making your opponent pass off of 1 interruption. So you get it. From here, you could either grab like Punishment, you could grab Back to the Front, but honestly, we're not losing the Lilith, so I'd probably grab Punishment first for the Disrupt, and then we could potentially go Back to the Front if our opponent's able to force out our Lilith next turn. So that's not terrible. So we'll grab Punishment. I'll leave it face up just so we know what's what. Then Sangan's going to get us a search because that's insane. I'm so surprised Sangan doesn't see weird play in like weird decks, but I guess weird decks don't want to use their normal on a Sangan. It's just not enough. I get it. Alright, so we're going to search Tour... Oh, no, we're not going to search Tour Guide. Oh, maybe we are. Okay, so here's the only awkward thing about the hand is we opened Ash and Ogre. So normally what you do is Skarm's going to get you your follow-up, right? So Skarm's going to get the Tour Guide. Sangan usually grabs you whatever hand trap you didn't open, and I only play Ash and Ogre. And I opened them both, and they're both hard once returned. So it's honestly a little jank. But, like... It's really jank because I'm like, what do I search now? So we could search our other Ash just cause like we can Ash on their turn and then still have an Ash left over. That could still work, whatever. It's not the biggest deal, but it could be a negate later down the line. Then we're gonna set our Sanctum, and then on end phase we'll add the Tour Guide. So this is what we have going on off of this hand, and this is one of those hands where you're just like, good luck. If you don't have a specific blowout card, or you're not a deck that doesn't care about Sanctum, like, good luck playing through this. We won't get a token on end phase, unfortunately, because Ties locks us out of special summoning. But we have so much, man. I mean, look at this resource-wise. We went +3 this turn, and we're going to go even more plus, right? So we're going to lock our opponent out of the X deck with Sanctum. We're going to have pop 2 or pop 1 and get a Super Poly because we do have the Chimera Rafflesia, or Chimera Flasia. When this card's sent to the graveyard, on your next standby phase, you can just add a Super Poly from your deck to the hand. But also keep in mind that Punishment locks you out of the extra deck until the end of your next turn. So you'll get Super Poly. You won't be able to use it that turn, but you can still set it and then hit your opponent on their next turn. Can't be responded to, so it doesn't even matter if they know it's coming. And you also have Lilith to tribute an opponent's monster to get another trap, which is just insane. Like, that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, we have a card, we're going to go +1 while our opponent goes -1. And then we also have Ash and Ogre in hand. Like, so this is one of those things where I've contemplated playing like 1 DD Crow as well because of a situation like this. I could open both of these or open Crow, Ash, and still search the Ogre. Have 3 hand traps in hand on top of the 3 interruptions on board. But honestly, I think in this hand, it's minimally terrible. You could have just searched like another follow-up, like another Tour Guide or whatever off of the Sangan if you wanted. That's up to you. I guess I think Ash here is fine. I mean, we already have follow-up and then some, so it's gonna be insane. Like, this kind of duel is like hard to lose going first. If this all resolved, if Ties resolved, like, how do we lose? How do we lose? But yeah, okay, we got a good hand there. Glad we got a good hand in. I'm gonna go in for one more test hand here, and then we're going to end off the video. I don't even know how many we've done. We've done either like, what, 4 or 5 so far? It's pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. It's not a combo deck, so I don't need to take like 5 to 10 minutes for each hand, which is really, really nice. I really like that. But yeah, I really think, guys, seriously, like if you think this deck is cool, it's pretty cheap. I know like Extravagance is part of it, but like after Extravagance, it's like there's budget options for the traps that you want to play. Even if Sanctum's like kind of expensive for you, is it even? I know it was expensive before. I don't remember if I got a reprint because I already had my copies of it. You could play something like Dimensional Barrier. Like that's a card that's actually pretty good in the format because like everybody's like synchroing and exceeds and all that stuff right now. That's a pretty good card. And I don't know, like you have options. There's options, okay? And the deck is so cool. The deck just has insane interactions. It just does such cool stuff. But let's get into our last test hand. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I mean, I'm not complaining. This is one of those heavy back row hands for sure. Especially going first. I mean, in going second. I mean, going second. Here's the thing: is like, if they don't negate Lair of Darkness, like if they let you just search a Lair and activate Lair because they don't really know what's coming, like you just won the duel because you're just gonna super poly them for 3. Summon a Triff. You're going to super poly into a negate, a 3,000 body and a negate, and you're still going to have 2 cards in hand because you would have drawn and then been able to discard this for discard whatever, but I guess you're probably discarding Imperm. No, not even, because Imperm actually allows you to help resolve Lair, so that's actually pretty good. But yeah, like this hand's pretty fine. Like it's not busted. You don't have a normal summon, but you do have the ability to super poly your opponent, and I think that's like the strongest thing here. So unfortunately, it kind of hurts me to say this, but I think our discard is like Ice Dragon's Prison. Could be Trap Trick. Could also be, we could discard Trap Trick, but I don't know, man. It's fine. I think we're definitely setting these 2 because I just think they're too good. They're way too good. No, we'll just discard Trap Trick, I think. Yeah. So it's like that. Like we're going to so like on our opponent's turn, we're going to do this, and then we can like scythe them. And like what's also really busted about this is we have 5,200 damage on field already. Just off of that, we would have discarded this. That's 5,200 damage. And we haven't used Ice Dragon Prison. So even potentially we could revive a monster, not banish anything, if you're assuming this is Ice Dragon's Prison, and have more damage. We draw Tour Guide for turn. So that's, if they don't have a disruption for Tour Guide, that's OTK. 3,000, 52, use this, summon Lilith, there's another 3,000. And now we have access to Lilith under Lair. So if they didn't have a disruption, we'd probably just OTK'd them here. No problem. No problem. So, yeah. I mean, just, this is like, that's another like simple hand where like, it may not look the cleanest, but the deck is just like, your unclean hands are just like, oh, Sanctum or Super Poly under Lair. Cool. Good luck playing. And then like you can win just because like your opponent can't play. And you're just like, yep, that's about right. It's insane. It's really insane. I think 100% this deck has never got enough attention as it should have. I know this deck kind of got like some buzz when it was first coming out, and then it very quickly, like, the buzz faded because people were like, oh, this deck sucks. It doesn't suck. I'm not saying it's amazing, but seriously, this deck, I believe if there were enough people playing it, this deck could have had regional tops, could have had maybe not YCS tops. That's a little far. It's got to be a pretty good deck to top a YCS. But regionals for sure. I'm 100% positive. In fact, I plan on topping a regional at some point with this deck. I'm calling it now. All right, put it on me. All right, once regionals start back up, put that on me, and I'll see if I can make it happen. But that is going to do it for me here today. Hopefully, if you are a fan of Lair of Darkness, this gave you an idea of at least this build. Check out my deck profile if you want to see the exact build I'm running here. That I uploaded like 2-ish weeks ago. And hopefully this gave you an idea if you like the deck but you weren't sure exactly what to expect from like how it plays. Oh, look, my camera's doing that thing. I don't know, check out the video. That'll give you an idea of the exact list you're playing, and you can obviously do some budget options as well. But the deck's not too overly expensive, to be fair. But yeah, that's going to do it for me here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this in the future. I really want to get back to just some of my favorite decks. Although I've thought about doing Trap Trick stuff. I was literally about to do Trap Trick stuff, and then we got 2 new Trap Tricks cards revealed. Now I'm like, what's the point of doing Trap Tricks content right now when the deck's just going to change so much, like when the new cards come out? Mashugana. Alright, but that's going to do it for me here. Thank you so much again, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Subscribe for more stuff like this, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.